Well, good morning, good afternoon, good morning. It's 11:59 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I still made it. Welcome to Morning Gospel Fuel with Mr. G, and welcome to a new week. It is Monday, September 7th, the feast day of St. Cloud. He is the patron saint against carbuncles, which is like boils on the skin, also of nail makers, as well as the city of St. Cloud, Minnesota. Today's gospel is from Luke chapter 6, verses 6 through 11. Let's begin in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. On another Sabbath, he went into the synagogue and taught. And there was a man there whose right hand was withered. The scribes and the Pharisees watched him closely to see if he would cure on the Sabbath, so that they might discover a reason to accuse him. But he realized their intentions and said to the man with the withered hand, "Come up and stand before us." And he rose and stood there. Then Jesus said to them, "I ask you, is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath rather than to do evil, to save life rather than to destroy it?" Looking around at them all, he then said to him, "Stretch out your hand." He did so, and his hand was restored. But they became enraged and discussed together what they might do to Jesus. Okay, so today's gospel. It's continuing about the debates about the Sabbath. Now, I think we can all relate to this scripture. It's amazing how much scripture, like if you actually read it, like every situation in life that we go through, you can find in scripture. And you can also see the reaction of Jesus and also the people. So within this scripture, the scribes and the Pharisees they are just looking for something to get mad at. And with relative to Jesus, right? So they have Jesus under the microscope, and they're just looking and watching and waiting for Jesus to mess up. All right, so they just have that pinpoint focus on something bad to attack him. And I'm sure we all have people like that. Maybe you're like that. Maybe, and I know I've been like that sometimes. Trying, of course, to get rid of any of that nature within me. But how many times do people just look for something to attack rather than embrace and adore and focus on the good that he was doing instead? Even if you look in, it's so relative to our current political world and the world that we live in, of just how often both political parties, and I'm not going to get into politics per se, but how much does the Republican Party look to dial in and pinpoint on something bad from the Democratic Party, and how much does the Democratic Party look to pinpoint on something bad that the Republican Party is doing? It's ridiculous that we have all these adults in politics that are focusing on solely the negative rather than the positive. Same thing happens with Christianity, whether you're Protestant, Methodist, Lutheran, whatever it is. A lot of people tend to focus and pinpoint on the one or two or three negative things that people don't like about the Catholic Church, or maybe a Catholic might pinpoint on something they don't like about the Methodist Church. I don't know, but people are always looking at all the bad. Never really. We have more in common, and there's a lot of good, and if we focus on the good, that'll eliminate a lot of tension and a lot of debate and just a lot of just conflict in general. So I think that's the challenge today, is just whenever we see or look at something, how do we react to them internally? Internally first, because our internal thoughts and behaviors are a reflection of our external. So how often do we focus on the negative rather than the positive? If we have an event going on that sums up to 100% and 95% of it is good, do we let that 5% take away from that 95% of goodness? Or do we focus on that, just solely focus on the 95% of the good and then eliminate the 5% of the bad? That's the challenge. Try to train our brain, our heart, and our emotions to react the way that Jesus would. All right, there we go. Because the Pharisees and the scribes did not do that today in Scripture. So there's the challenge. Focus on the positive, even if there's a little bit. Have a great Monday. God bless. Keep it real. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.